No pressure.
Right. All right. Well, good morning. I appreciate you coming on and excited to just chat with you and get to know you a little better. First of all, just kind of give us some background on you and because you're in the fitness space, but you learned a lot through the 6 week challenge. So give us some background, where you come from
Uh,
and why you decided to do the
okay.
6 week challenge.
Well, I'm a little Midwestern girl, so I live in a suburb outside of Chicago, Illinois, in Downers Grove, and I come from a large family. I have 11 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
um, so why did I decide to do the challenge? Well, coming from a large family, um, I'm very close to my family, and in 2016. My brother died of a heart attack. He was my favorite brother, so I lost him. My sister had a hemorrhagic stroke, and my mom had an aphasic stroke, and I ended up losing her in 2007. So um, it was hard for me, all of that, like compounding, happening at once. My sister did survive her hemorrhagic stroke, but she's never really quite been the same. So that's been like really difficult for me. And then, my father had already passed several years before that. So kind of like losing both of my parents and all of that, and then going through menopause. And I don't know. So it was hard. I never had a weight issue. Um, and I just kind of went into like, I lost myself. And so I've been in the fitness industry. I've been teaching, gosh, I don't know, forever. Um, I think, going through the process for me was a good learning experience because it made me have appreciation like I never had a stomach. So, basically the reason I started the 6 week challenge is that I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I didn't like having a belly. So when I was doing yoga and bending over and stuff like that, I just didn't like how it felt. So it's given me appreciation for people that have always had, you know, um, a stomach or whatever, that in fitness of how they feel going through different movements and things like that, of which I never had to struggle with before. So I kind of just wanted to get back to myself. And I figured, well, if I don't do it, if not now, then when? And what I found with the 6 weeks challenge, like for me making that decision, it kind of like flipped a switch. And was on track, and it was like so good, and I was feeling like amazing, and really feeling like I was getting back to myself and stuff like that. And then the 6 week challenge ended, and all of a sudden I found myself, spiraling, like trying to, like I did create, habits, and keeping some of the habits, but finding myself spiraling and knowing what I should be doing, but still making that choice not to. So I was feeling like desperate, and I'm like, I need to talk to Chelsea, because I knew that if I kept continuing going the way that I would, that it wouldn't have been good. So I was, very fortunate that Chelsea was around, because, I had continued. But here in my mind, I thought, I don't really need the weekly check offs, the reminders, things like that. Like, I'm good with systems. Like, I'm an early riser. I just have my list of things to do. I love checking things off the list. I don't know. For some reason, it's probably my OCD, being in a big family, having order. I don't know. Like, I remember having a conversation with my mother once, and she was saying that one of my siblings ran into someone from elementary school, and they said, like, "How is your house always so clean?" And I never really thought about how clean or dirty someone's house was until, my mom said that to me. And it's like, well, we had to have order because there were so many people, and I just think that I really strive on that structure. So I only had, like, checking in weekly, but only once a month having the conversation. But I just felt I was kind of lost, and Chelsea picked up. So having that conversation, it's like I'm kind of happy in one way. Like, I haven't gotten fully back on track, but having that conversation, like, it was so um enlightening to me, because it's like, it's really like where I really had my breakdown, I think, to
Yeah.
learn more about myself.
Yes.
Like, to me, that was like so amazing. Like, I never really realized how much I like structure, which like I think sometimes you know things, but you don't really know them. I don't know how to
Right.
explain that better,
Yeah.
you know? So it was
Yeah.
like through failing that I learned. And one of the things that I really took away after the conversation was, I don't know, we raise our kids, this is right, this is wrong, and you get caught in this thing like being like this is good and this is bad, like you're bad if you're not good. And it was kind of very enlightening that having this realization that like the choice that I make doesn't necessarily make it wrong or right. It's just I don't know. It's it's what it is, and it's learning from it and moving forward.
Perfect. Yes. So a couple of taglines that I use often in my coaching is 1% improvement daily. And you said just that. You're never failing, you're always learning, right?
Yes.
And so I love that you've been in the fitness industry, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of us have been for a long time, or maybe we've been going to the gym for years, right? It's just part of our routine. And we just haven't quite seen the changes that we wanted to. And typically that missing link is the nutrition piece. So in the 6-week challenge, what were your results? Did you release some weight, some inches? What were
Yeah,
your
I did. I ended up losing 11 pounds. So I'm still sticking there. I haven't moved forward, but to me, that's still a win because I haven't, gone back.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
part of it is, I'm still trying to figure out like, um, I still think like I can do it my way. So like listening to the podcast today, like saying like moderation is, key and variety is the space, the spice of life. I still want to think like, oh, if I have a little bit of sugar, like that's okay. Cause it's only a
Yes.
little bit. So it's like kind of like the lie that you're telling yourself. Like I'm saying, oh, that I can do this because it's like not a lot, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And then knowing how I feel when I do have it, like, why do you, I thought it was very interesting with the podcast, like, why do you like abuse yourself? Like, how are you in this abusive relationship? Like, would you really want someone else to be treating this, you this way? But why are you treating yourself this way? When
Exactly.
the other option made you feel so much better.
Yeah. So let's
I
back it
don't
up
know.
a couple days to when you called me on Monday and you were kind of in a panic a little bit. Like, tell me how you started the phone call. Let's kind of just replay that
Oh
conversation.
gosh. Why don't you tell me how I started the phone call? Because I don't really remember. I must have
So
been in such a like, wow.
yeah, no, you already touched on it a little bit. You were so good for the 6 weeks and I felt so in control. And for the last couple weeks, like I just have not felt in control. Like, why am I eating the things that I'm eating
Right, right.
when before it was so easy and I didn't even have
Mhm.
to think about a no? And so we kind of talked through that, and you have shared just a little bit of, learning as you go, taking it day by day. But what was the life change for you that happened after the 6 weeks? Let's start there.
Yeah, so that's exactly, I called Chelsea and said exactly what she had said. I'm like, I just don't know, like, how could I be so good and then struggle and whatever? And she said, well, what's going on? And I was like, well, I accepted this contract. I'm an independent consultant, and I have my regular stuff that I do with my training, and then I accepted this other job, and then it's ended up being more than what I expected it to be. And when the deadline hit, I'm already like 2 weeks past the deadline, and my whole life I just feel like is out of control, and it's not what I thought. And um, that was like enlightening to see like how much I like structure and how like all this other stuff going on was impacting the choices that I was making,
Yes.
even though I was still trying to plan. I was good all day, and then it's at night when I turn into this like, oh, I just feel like I need to eat something or I want something. I don't know.
Right. And typically, one of the things that we find for people is they'll do one of two things. If they're stressed out, they eat more, or if they're stressed out, they don't eat. It's one of the two. And a lot of times, reaching for food is we're reaching for something that we're lacking. And it's a certain feeling. It's typically, lack of feeling loved, or maybe there's not enough excitement, or in your case, there's not structure. Like when it feels out of control, people tend to reach for food because it is a controllable, right? That's the one thing that we can control, is what we're putting in our mouth. And so as we talked through that, you discovered, okay, yeah, I've been a little chaotic. And then you recognize, okay, life's been a little out of order. You give yourself some grace and you realize it's okay. We talked about, journaling. So what were some of the things that came up over journaling in the last couple of days that you discovered?
Well, just I don't know, like growing up in a big family and having the structure and kind of like being told what to do all the time, and it's kind of, I realize that sometimes I don't really think for myself,
Interesting.
that it's like when you're telling me what to do, I'm good with that. And when I have to like figure it out myself, it's like, even when you ask me like what's going on, and I'm like, I don't know. Like, why don't you tell me some answers and then I'll pick one,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's how I'll feel because I don't know how to identify it. So that's
Okay.
been huge too. So that's what's been going on last, couple of days of, this is like really interesting. Like whoever thought that I would unearth things like this, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. So let's explore that for just a minute. So you say that it's easier to be told what to do. And I think a lot of us come into nutrition, especially when they are hiring a coach. They're like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And you were the perfect model example, right? Perfect client. I told you what to do and you executed, and
I did.
you released 11 pounds. Huge success,
Hmm.
right? And now we're realizing that you thrive in that structured state. So we don't want you to be dependent on a coach. I don't want you to feel like you have to have my direction in order to choose and in order to feel confident. And so my job as a coach is to empower you and show you what you're doing right, how you're doing things well, because you are in the fitness space, right? Did you learn
Hmm.
anything new really in the last 6 weeks, like that was like life changing? Or was it like, I kind of already knew that, I just wasn't doing it?
I think probably like most of the stuff, like I already knew that. I think, sometimes as much as I like to be told what to do, then there's the other side of me that, oh, no, I don't. Like, I don't want you to tell me what to do. So, like to
Right.
say, oh, like sugar is good and you shouldn't have it, I want to be like, well, no, you're wrong. Like, yes, I can,
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think there's that rebel in the inside of me, and that's like my inner child, I feel like coming out. I don't
Exactly.
know.
Yes. And we all have that inner child that we struggle with and we go to toe with on a daily basis. So you discovered that you thrive in the structure, but you're also discovering that you like to be told what to do. So are you willing to listen to yourself from what you've learned from the 6-week challenge to put a plan in place and execute on that plan?
Well, I have a plan in place.
Okay.
Um, I do. Have I stuck to it? I'm still getting to the end of the day and struggling, but that's okay because I'm aware of it,
Yes.
and today's a new day and that's how I just frame it. So what
Perfect.
went good, and what can I do that's different? And I'm
Yes.
not going to beat myself up because I didn't, I wasn't perfect because life isn't perfect.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
And I think talking to you and realizing like that you struggle too, because I think that sometimes, you get this perception that like, oh, they can do it and they don't have any problems and it's just me,
Yep.
and that it's not, that other people might be struggling with exactly the same thing. And for me, the hard thing was being a fitness instructor, I'm in front of a group leading people. So
Yeah.
like I'm feeling terrible about myself. How am I supposed to make other people feel better about themselves? You
Yes.
know?
Yes. And
So
it's
that's been empowering with my students telling me like you look great and
Oh, I'm sure they've
yeah.
seen the 10 pounds, right? They've seen you
Yes.
release that 10 pounds. And how cool is that? And so you're modeling, you're being an example. And we
Right.
have to live in that 80-20. We have to be able to have 20% of the sugar, and the enjoyment, being able to go to the barbecues, tasting the cake, doing those things. And so what did we talk about on our call to allow you to enjoy the treat without guilt?
To plan for it.
Yeah.
That was one thing, you
Yeah.
know.
To
And
pre-track
then
it.
my takeaway is like if I had it, it's not such a bad thing. Like I'm
Right.
not eating, like if I have ice cream, it's something I make. I love to cook. So I make a lot of things from scratch. So I feel like all that extra stuff is not being filtered in. So that's how I rationalize, well, this is okay to have it, but I only have one scoop. I'm not eating the whole, pint or whatever that I make,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah,
So that's huge,
for
you
sure.
know.
Recognizing that you have self-control, that's huge, because for me, I'm a former binger. And so I was out of control to the point where I was throwing up at times. And so one thing that I've had to do for myself to maintain accountability and to maintain confidence with myself is to just set the boundary. The bowl is the boundary. We're not going outside the bowl. We're not reaching for the rest of the court. We're going to stay inside the bowl. And so it's the same thing going to the family barbecue. Like that's an anxiety attack for me, knowing like I'm anticipating a lunch today with friends and there's going to be a full spread. And in my mind already, I'm having to prepare myself to just load the plate and be done with the plate. When the plate is done, I'm done. And then I'll have my gum with me so I can pop my gum because I know what my weaknesses are. And so that's what's so powerful is us recognizing where we're weak. So at the end of the day, as you're journaling, you're taking time and thinking, okay, so you do pretty good during the day. And it's usually at the end of the day when willpower is gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what are some of the things that we kind of talked about that you could do at the end of the day to help you stop?
Well, like go brush my teeth, just do something else, to not do it.
Yeah.
Now, have I done that? The answer is no, I haven't, but I
Okay.
haven't like not forgot it. And
Right.
it's like I intend on doing it,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. It's an
yes.
option for sure. And the cool thing is if you pre-track in advance, then you know that you have that ice cream waiting at the end of the day or whatever. Like you get to eat it whenever you want. You could eat the ice cream for breakfast, girlfriend.
Hmm.
And so you just decide that. And two, what I want people to understand is tracking is not a restriction device, right? Tracking is a tool and a resource to help you maintain boundaries for yourself and be able to continue progress. Because if you didn't track, you wouldn't know, and you would not surely wouldn't have had the progress that you did in 6 weeks if you hadn't have tracked and stayed within the boundaries. So I'm so proud of you, Susan. Like, it's just so cool to hear the breakthroughs and see the changes and the confidence that's come. And so you said you have a plan. Tell us what your plan is moving forward.
My plan moving forward, well, I want to get into the space where I felt before, like good, clear, clear. It's amazing when you eliminate things, even if you don't think that you're eating a lot of them, how much clearer like your thought is and how you feel. And I don't know, it's kind of like going to the gym and working out. I don't know how to describe it. The endorphins or whatever that are running around that make you just feel good. It's like
Yes.
this natural high, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just, sticking to the plan and trying to create new habits. Um,
So
yeah.
good.
And,
What
and
are,
at night, I try to remind myself, what you do in private, you wear in public.
yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, oh, you're thinking that no one's seeing you doing this, or maybe you're not even thinking that, but it's like, I
Yep.
don't know, it's a choice.
It is. And those extra bite licks and taste, they're either going to go on the hips or in the trash. You get to decide if you want to wear it or just toss it. And so I've just loved watching you grow over the 6 weeks. Super proud of the habits that you've created and appreciate your willingness to come on and share, get vulnerable, because I know that everybody that watches this, they're going to be able to relate to a piece of it. And so we are here as fitness instructors, right, to empower others, to help them know that you are capable of so much more. And my program's called Unleash for a reason, because we all have that deep inner burning desire. And maybe it's that inner child, right? That once was, that we kind of have buried up over time. And it's time to unleash that. It's time to reach our full potential. And what better time to do it with life experience? Because
Hmm.
we're less judgmental of others. And hopefully we're coming to a space of less judgment for ourselves, realizing that we're doing the best we can, and our best is always good enough. So thanks for coming on today. You are so awesome.
Oh, you're very
Appreciate
welcome.
you.
You know, I think that the podcast today was very empowering. So that's what I have to say. The little, just little extra readings and stuff like that. Like if you really read them, they're worth the time. There's so
Yeah,
much to take away from all of them. Like today was filled with so much stuff,
good. I'm
you
glad that you're
know?
enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's referring to one of the podcasts in the reading assignments for the day. She's doing this 30-day challenge about proper supplementation and creating healthy habits. So thanks for joining us today, and you have an awesome day.
You too. Thanks, Chelsea.